Let's start quickly without further delays.
Right.
And welcome everyone to the 2020 APAC Groundbreakers Virtual Tour by APAC OEC. This year, our event would be bigger one ever done with 174 sessions, including normal sessions, workshops, and hands-on labs from 123 speakers across 11 days. Also, it would be covering four different technologies, four different languages. Please remember to register as many sessions as you can, and all sessions would be available to replay as many times as you want for 2 weeks post the initial sessions. You can also interact with the speaker at any time during the 2 weeks, posting questions or comments directly in the playback session page. And then and thanks to all our Oracle user groups, Java user groups that made this event possible, and also to our partners Oracle Groundbreakers and CloudDB. And for today's session, we have Karen Cannell with us, taking over on Voyage to Visual Studio Builder Studio, and the session would last for 45 minutes, and the questions will be taken at last of sessions. If you have any questions, please post at in the Q&A tab at Zoom webinar. Thank you, and over to you, Karen. And you can
Thank
take the slide.
you.
Yep, you can take over the slide.
Got it. Almost. As soon as you stop sharing, I can
Yeah,
share.
I did that.
Got it.
Yep.
One more
Okay.
time. There we
Yep.
go. There we go.
Yep.
Share screen. Here we go. Share. And I will shrink this
Yes,
down
you're up.
out of
You're
my
up. You
way.
can see. Yep.
You got me? Okay,
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Welcome everyone. This is my voyage to Visual Builder Studio, a voyage I never thought I'd be on. My name is Karen Cannell. My company is TH Technology. I thought I was going to be voyaging into Visual Builder. But the most recent changes in Visual Builder Studio, i.e. the switch from Developer Cloud Service to Visual Builder Studio, and the recommendation that one goes through Visual Builder Studio to build visual applications using Visual Builder. I'm now a Visual Builder Studio gal. So this is my voyage to Visual Builder Studio, and hopefully I can convince you that that's a good way to go as well. My company's TH Technology. I'm very fortunate to do Oracle consulting, mostly on Apex. I'm not a JavaScript girl. I'm an Apex gal. I didn't even start out in IT. I started out in mechanical engineering and got into IT, and you know how it goes. I love that so many user groups are involved in this conference and so many volunteers making it happen. Get involved in your user groups, your local or regional or whatever. I happen to be on the ODTUG board. We have elections going on right now. If you're a member, vote. If you're not, consider, come visit us in the US. Get involved. It's a real important that we support our user groups so that we get this kind of learning. Also important in the world right now, this is one of my happy places. And there's a little dot here. That's me swimming. I can't go there all the time, but COVID willing, I'll get there in January. Whatever your happy place is, whatever you need to do away from the computer to keep yourself sane in this weird time, do that. I hope all of us stay safe, stay vigilant, do whatever we do so we get back so that we can do these conferences in person. And about this time, I would want to ask about you and my audience, what Oracle technology are you on now? Are you an Apex developer, a developer at all? Are you just looking at low-code platforms? Are you looking at Visual Builder because you're a JavaScript developer? So I'm going to assume you're new to Visual Builder, you're brand new to Visual Builder Studio as I am, and I'm going to tell you about my voyage along the way. my experience and how hard it was, what was confusing. We're going to build a real small progressive web app, and my builds have been really, really slow this afternoon. So we may switch to slides after I get to a certain point, but I have the slides, and I'm going to compare and contrast a little bit with Apex. So why does an Apex gal, since the beginning of Apex, decide to use Visual Builder Studio? I didn't. But I didn't, as I said earlier. Uh, I sort of used Visual Builder before, and I ignored Developer Cloud Service because I didn't need to go there. I was a team of one. However, since this latest September release, and I knew this direction was coming from talking to Shay and Venkatesh. Um, the recommended way to use Visual Builder is through Visual Builder Studio. Why? Because it's integrated with Git repositories, merge requests, full lifecycle development. It'll do the builds for you, and when you're ready, it'll push things to your Visual Builder instance, be it your development, your QA, or your production Visual Builder instance. So it's Visual Builder Studio is your development environment. It's your lifecycle environment. And like I said, I didn't want to go there, but I am, and I will convince you that that's the right way to go. So why did I decide to learn Visual Builder at all? Well, I was at the Groundbreaker conference 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. And Visual Builder had just come out, and I kept asking as an inquisitive engineer, um, why would I use Visual Builder instead of Apex? What does Visual Builder do that Apex can't? Why does Oracle have two low-code development tools? This doesn't make sense. What are they doing? And Oracle is not phasing out one or the other. And I asked all these questions, and one of the product managers for Visual Builder said, that sounds like a presentation. So now we have this presentation. Visual Builder Studio is developer cloud service, and all the tasks in Agile and Git and code review and pipelines, plus specific features for Visual Builder, a project template, environments, the designer workspace, the Visual Builder designer with my own workspace, my own little playground, my own Git repository, my own branch. That is really cool. The Git integration, so I press a button and it says, okay, I'm going to do the Git commit for you. I'm going to do the merge. And things are automated. So it's really, really cool what they've done. If you read nothing else, read the latest blog that announces VB Studio 20.1, and then read this, what's new in Visual Builder. They're pulling things together in a way that they talked about, but now they're delivering it much faster than I expected. So what's new in Visual Builder Studio? There's a Redwood theme. We know Oracle since Open World last year, year before, everything is Redwood, and not just a Redwood theme, but it's a workflow. It's a way of doing things, and that is now integrated in Visual Builder Studio. To go with that workflow, there's some development experience adjustments. You can now, and this is nice, control when your Visual Builder applications, the runtime dependencies upgrade. So it doesn't get pushed out for you. You can say, I'm not ready to upgrade the dependencies on this application yet. And that's a really cool feature. And then there's a lot of DevOps things for NPM, Git merge from the command line, improve build jobs. I'm not going to talk about those. Everything I talk about from here on in is using Visual Builder, building visual applications via Visual Builder Studio or VB Studio. So some people like these project architecture diagrams. I think this helps make sense. This is right out of the Oracle documentation. Visual Builder Studio gives you a project, and within the Visual Builder designer, the designer in that project. Now, the designer in Visual Builder is for building visual applications with Visual Builder. So if this is where you want to build your Apex stuff, this is not the place to be. But so within that designer, there's a workspace for each developer, their own private workspace. And then the really cool part that makes it VB Studio is that within that visual application, there's the whole environment, the CI/CD stuff, the Git repository, and some other specific Visual Builder Studio tools that help me request a merge with review, and then I'll click and have or another, I'll assign that review to another developer. They'll go in, perform their review, looking at code changes in the code, because they're all right there as part of that merge request. They can approve and then request a merge commit. Upon that merge commit, it'll go out to the build pipeline and it'll queue that up. It'll kick it off when it can, and it'll, when it succeeds, it'll package things up. It'll run the deploy build, and then it'll push things out to my Visual Builder instance, be that development, QA, or production. So I've just launched it with a click of a button from within my Visual Builder Studio instance. Really, really cool stuff. Visual Builder by itself doesn't have that project, that life cycle wrapper. So this is, you know, my Visual Builder, some objects in the database, the runtime and hosting, REST services, be them totally external or Fusion apps, and then my web apps, progressive web apps or mobile apps. Very simple architecture, but Visual Builder by itself does not have all that continuous lifecycle stuff. So let's get started. Start with the basics, and this is a real, if you do nothing else when you're getting started, go to this page, and I gave you the link on a separate slide so you would see. And if you read the stuff on the page, and this is how Oracle is doing all their documentation now, read the stuff on the page and follow the directions. I got to speed up here. Before you get into Visual Builder Studio, there's some administrative steps. These have to be done to link my Visual Builder instance with my Visual Builder Studio instance, so that I can tell Visual Builder Studio, okay, now push this out to my developer instance or my QA instance. These steps are all, I'll be honest, it took me some time. I did not get them right the first time. It took me a couple times. And notice separate steps if you're developing visual applications, i.e. using Visual Builder, or if I'm using extending cloud applications, because that extra link is I have to link to that at my Fusion apps location, be it financials or something else. So you have to do these steps as an administrator. Plan some time. It's not a 10-minute job. It takes a bit of time. Getting there to Visual Builder Studio is kind of an interesting thing, because it's not on the menu. Well, it is. It's on there as developer. So you scroll all the way down on the left to Platform Services, and then find Developer. That will open up your Visual Builder instance. And in there, you'll be able to create a project, which is the overarching big kind of analogous to a Visual Builder application. It's now a project. Create the workspace. That, remember, that's my own individual little playground. And within that, I can create different templates. I recommend when you create a workspace, or when you get in your project, create a workspace with the cookbook template. That gives you the Visual Builder cookbook. And that's just like all the samples that you're going to need to get up and running on things. And then once we're in, once we have our workspace, we can start building things. So very quickly, Visual Builder Studio instance. I get into my organization. First thing it asks me is build a project. I kick off that project. This will take a few minutes, but look at all it's doing. Look at all these pieces of the project. So it's got a lot to do, and that takes a little bit to do it. And then you get in here, and you'll probably have many projects in your course of work. And these different tabs here, the OCI account, of course, I have to connect um, this cloud Visual Builder Studio instance with my Visual Builder instance. And there's virtual machines, virtual machine templates for doing the builds in the background, all kinds of the stuff that get done in the administrative steps. From this project, once we go into the project, it shows me what workspaces I have. I only have this one development environment. That's my Visual Builder development instance. Shows me recent activities, and I've got a whole bunch of things, and I'll show you this when I get in here. If I have, here's my Git repositories, one per workspace. I have nothing in Maven, NPM, or Docker right now, but I could link those registries in there. Here's my workspace. I finally get into my Visual Builder workspace. This is my instance. This is the comfy thing that I wanted to learn, Visual Builder, building visual apps with Visual Builder. This is a new Redwood theme. If I'm starting in as a new Visual Builder user, read the stuff that they put in front of you. There's tons and tons of help here. Read all this stuff if you're brand new. Service connections, that's our REST data. I can create mobile apps or web apps. Business objects are my tables that live within the Visual Builder database. And where are we? So what's in a project? Everything you need for lifecycle stuff. And as I pointed out, that's the giant lifecycle wrapper and all the parts. Those are all the pieces in the project. The workspace, this is my work area, my playground. And now let's dive in here, and I'll show you just how long some of these steps take. And if they take too long, we're going to jump back to slides. Starting page, if I haven't done anything before, this tells me step by step what I need to do. First of all, I need to log in. I have just logged into this cloud instance and finding Visual Builder. Now, remember I mentioned, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for you, that it was kind of hard to find. I'm going to tell you to save a little time, scroll all the way down to Platform Services. And you notice in here, this is my Visual Builder instance. This is Visual Builder Studio. Someday they will change that to Visual Builder Studio. And so now here's my, still not there. Here's my instance. I need to access that instance. And now that'll open. This looks very much like what I just showed you before. Now I have two projects. I'm going to open my demo project. You can import applications from your Visual Builder instance into Visual Builder Studio, and that will import things into a workspace. And if you have work you want to save that you want to transition to Visual Builder Studio, I recommend you do that. I did it for a few things. It's pretty easy. Just follow the directions. I'm going to go into my demo workspace. And let's see if we can, now notice it tells you what it's doing here. And it does a few things in initializing this workspace, getting the remote storage, and then very quickly in there, in this workspace, I have already set up some external REST services. I've set up some business objects by importing them. Remember, a business object is like a table. It lives in my database. And these would be my Visual Builder database. So these are, I've already imported these. I imported these by just drag and drop from an Excel spreadsheet, which I can do from this interface. This data manager interface will give me that option. And I'm going to stop clicking on things because it's just kind of slow. But this import business objects, and I had done that about 24 hours ago. But so I did that import from a spreadsheet. It found all my fields. I've got different types. I've got a link to department for the name, just to show you how my business objects are in there and linked. I built this little diagram, and that just shows you, let's move it around, that I can do joins on my business objects. I'm just referencing things. But most of the time I find within Visual Builder, I'm going to be using service connections. And I just want to point this out. If I had was extending cloud applications, I'd be selecting from a catalog. I don't have any joint here, so there's going to be nothing there. I can also define by a Swagger doc, and that will create an application for me. A service endpoint for me. I can also define by endpoint, and that is as easy as taking. I like to copy as opposed to type, because when I type and talk at the same time, so this is a get all, I say get many, I say next. This is an external public REST service that just gives me country data. Simple response. Let me test just to make sure I got the URL right. And yes, I did. And I'm going to create. And it did that. So now I've got, oh, that was my test. So now I've created. So now I've got another REST endpoint. If I wanted to, and I've done this here just in the sake of time, I can add the get one. So I have a get many, I can add the get one. If I imported something from a Swagger doc, I may have all the endpoints defined for me. Why is this important? Because this is how data gets exchanged in Visual Builder. It's all REST endpoints. So let's build something really quick. In Visual Builder, I learned you build a mobile app or a web app. We're going to build a mobile app because I think it's a really cool feature. I just say new app, and I've got a few templates. I know from experience that first letter has to be lowercase. I'm going to do no template for now, but if I wanted to build multiple pages, I would have picked one that uses multiple pages just for convenience. I've got several templates for my page. It's going to open up that page for me. Now it went out and it built the structure for an app, and I'm going to give myself a little screen space. And this is how you build Visual Builder apps. This was so fun for me. So let me get to my list view here. And whenever you see quick start there. That's where you start. First thing I have to do is add data. Now I've got a list element. I could have started with a blank page and dragged a list over, but I just saved a step by using the template. I'm going to use this endpoint, and it shows me which ones are eligible for a list. It only shows which ones are eligible. I'm going to use this list, and I'm going to, this is my drag and drop. I can drag here. I want this to show as an image. I'm going to include name, native name. Notice I can point and click. Now, really, I want this guy here. I want this guy up here. And just because I know they're littler. And now it tells me what's the primary key. Okay, now next. And if I had filters or order bys or things that I needed to apply to this list, I would do that here. I'm just trying to do something very quick for you to show you really quickly. I've built a page, and there you go. My next thing would be add a creator and edit. I'm going to add a detail. Again, it shows me which endpoints. This is a get one, apply. I could use one of these others down here, but I'm going to use this get one and build my detail page. Now I can add more things, capital. Doesn't really matter what I put here. I'm just trying to do things, flag, good enough. Done, good enough. So now what I have is a 2-page application. And if I click here, if everything's, oh, I'm in design mode. Let's go to live mode. And if I click, it goes to my detail page. And voila, we have a very exciting things. Now, if I wanted to do something really neat in Visual Builder, I can go right into the code and I can do things like drag things right into the code. Let's get back to the code. Drag that image right into the code. And then I can never type, always copy, because I would wrong. I can just give the data here as this image. I'm going to go back to this page, give it a width. And I've just added an image to my app by drag and drop into the code. So that was kind of cool. I just wanted to show you could do that. Now, I'm not going to go too much further on this, but say I've got this really simple app. It does need things, and I'm done. Now I want to share it. I want to publish it and do things. So this is my app. I'm going to go to settings, and your app is going to be way much bigger. Application settings, because it's a mobile app, I can have Android branding. I may have some iOS branding. I'm not going to bother with that right now. I would say what my vendor name is, a few other settings down here, whatever may, as my aunt would say, whatever would blow your skirt up. Build configurations. It doesn't know what to do, how to build anything. For Android, you would build one for Android, one for iOS. I would, again, my key store here. My key store, because I have the Android security. Password, PRACPICE. So you get the idea here. Base, I need to give it a name. Android build. Version, pretty good. Save that configuration. And I could have as many different configurations there as I want. I have no plugins, but if I did, I would add them there. Progressive web app. This is really, really cool. I click to enable progressive web app. In a few seconds, I'm going to have another interface that tells me how to drag and drop some more progressive web app resources, some branding. I can change this color to your APAC red. And we don't want blue, we want black. Good enough. Security is, in this case, anonymous. In your app, you're going to build in security, and that's a whole nother talk. But now I'm ready. I can either share this app to preview it, and it's going to open an app and actually build it'll come out with a, it's not going to do it on my own. So it's going to go out and it's going to build all the stuff that needs to happen to build the stuff in this workspace. Now, because I have several, this application I just built, because I have these other apps out here, it's going to go off and it's going to build all of this stuff. And it's going to take a while, but it will come back and do this stuff. In the background, it's launching the build that it needs to do to be able to share this just in a preview state. So let's go back over here. The other option I have is to publish. And this is really cool. Not so fast. Oh, okay. I have a merge request waiting. Okay, so what I would do is say publish changes. And let's go back. This is where slides are wonderful. And I would get an interface that says merge now or merge after review. And that's my choice. My initial thing, maybe I want to merge now. Maybe there's no one else on my team. I always want to merge. Um, my merge review, um, in there, notice the change files. Now, if it's initial one, there's going to be a lot of change files. And when I go to the merge review, I can look at all of those files. So after I said merge after review, I said initial save. It then goes off and I can see my git commit, my git fetch, my git merge master to working. And then I push my working, and then it creates the merge request. And then if I assign that request to another developer, I would be that other developer. Maybe I assigned it to me. And I would come into my merge request part of my interface and click on this merge request. And that, and I apologize, I anticipated things being slow. I would go in and click on this merge request. I apologize for the poor quality of this little video. At this point, I can look at the changed files here, and I can click through and look at all the code in those change files. This is an initial set, so I don't have highlights, but if I had changes, it actually highlights the changes and shows you before and after. Really, really cool stuff. I have no link builds or link issues. So I click approve, I as the approver, click approve, say looks good, and then I click on the merge button. What that's going to do is going to set up a merge commit, which is going to kick off another build. So here's my merge request 41. I click on the merge commit, and I'm done here on my merge request. The next thing I would see is I could go over and look at my builds, and I would see this job start. It would tell me that it's queued or it's waiting, but this one was scheduled 7 minutes ago and the build had started. Down the bottom here, you can see this little thing that's running. That is actually the deploy process that was out there running. Every workspace, every app you build, every workspace has a package and a deploy build that gets built when you create the workspace. So, and that's built as a pipeline. Package zips up all the stuff that's needed for the deploy, and then deploy does all the steps to deploy the application. And what that's doing is it's doing all the Git stuff behind the scenes, and it's going to push things out to my Visual Builder instance. So when my build finally completes, I will see my application in my Visual Builder instance. And you can see it, sometimes it takes a long time. And then when I open that application now in Visual Builder, I would then have this scan card. Now, if you were to scan that little guy with your phone, it will bring up a progressive web app that just does exactly what, actually it's a nicer one because I built it. It has a few more features, a little flip card and things like that. So that's all the stuff I couldn't show you in this short amount of time. So that's Visual Builder Studio, very rapidly, very high level. So what are my impressions as someone just learning? Let's talk about Visual Builder first. Cloud-based low-code development tool, drag and drop. I got everything I expected. Web and mobile apps. Well, I wasn't expecting, as I just showed you, that mobile apps separate from web apps, but it's separate because with the mobile apps, I get native mobile features. The Cordova libraries are in there. So if I want to take a photo on my phone, that stuff is in there. So it's that true native mobile app stuff. That is a real bonus. And the progressive web app with a flip of a switch, that is really, really sweet. That saves a lot of time. Common look for my web app and my mobile. And I think you'll see a lot of progressive web apps going forward. Visual Builder makes it really easy to do that. Business objects, service endpoints, all the data is accessed from REST. And as an Apex gal, I'm used to SQL, PL SQL, hands-on, thick database. That took some getting used to. Drag and drop was really drag and drop. There's no save, there's no commit. Everything, once you do it, is there. And everything is Jet, not just JavaScript, any old JavaScript. It's Oracle Jet JavaScript. So, but that was really, really easy. And I don't have to go into that code if I don't want to. There are some places where it's easier to position things when I can go into the code. As I mentioned, no database objects, no thick database. I'm used to all my logic in the database. Now with Visual Builder, you got to be smart about how you build your app, how you plan your app, how you secure the data in your REST endpoints. Whole new way of thinking than what I'm used to with a traditional database Apex application. All the data is REST. All the code is Oracle Jet. And as I mentioned, no saves. You will never, ever write a SQL query in a Visual Builder application. You'll never, I can 99% say you'll never write a SQL query in Visual Builder Studio either. So really neat. Different. What's really cool, best impression with Visual Builder Studio, it's doing all the project work for me. That stage, it used to be stage and publish in Visual Builder. It's commit, push, merge. Now we're publishing things out to my Visual Builder instance. I'm not staging them. The administration setup took some work. I will not kid you there. That has to be done right for your builds to work properly. I am finding things work slower in Visual Builder Studio than in Visual Builder, but it's doing all that stuff behind the scenes. So I expect that. I had to get used to that. This really cool. The life cycle stuff getting done for me that's worth going to Visual Builder Studio. Some notes on getting started, and these are all in your slides. I can provide these slides to you at any time. If you start with an always free cloud account, like many of us do, it's 30 days from when you start that thing and the clock is ticking. It's not like 30 days from when you get time to focus on it. So don't start until you're ready to focus on it. Get in there, find Visual Builder, build that instance, find Visual Builder Studio, build that instance. Either do the administration steps yourself, or make sure your administrator does those, because again, the clock is ticking on that trial. You want to get in and kick the tires and do this stuff. Visual Builder Studio is free. Visual Builder is not. So they work together. You're gonna have to, plan for that on your 30-day trial. Read all the stuff that's in front of you. I pointed out in several places the notes on the pages, on the splash screens, the steps with links on each one. They really laid things out really nice for us. And if you get stuck, when you do a 30-day trial, the Oracle Cloud person calls and say, hey, I noticed you downloaded something. Use those people. Use them as your advocates. Say, hey, I'm stuck on this. I can't, ask them for advice. I've had very good luck doing that. Put your blinders on when you go in there and just focus on what you need to learn. There's a great set of Visual Studio videos, blogs, and the Cloud Customer Connect community is very busy, very responsive. So use that, use Cloud Customer Connect. You need the Oracle account to do that. And post your questions. They're very responsive. Go to conferences like this, webinars, follow everything Shay Smeltzer writes. He'll probably may or may not like that, but the latest new stuff comes out of his fingers. Actually, it's out of his brain first. So time investment, I mentioned this already. Install the cookbook workspace template, use the community, do every example you can. At some point, you're going to get this warning that says, you got to use Chrome, Google Chrome. And I said, nah, I'm a developer. I use Firefox Developer. I don't need Chrome. Yeah, you do. you do. Visual Studio is supported with other browsers, but read the fine print. Visual Builder Studio Designer, which is Visual Builder, is supported by Chrome. So the IDE I showed you, in Visual Builder Studio, we get the Redwood theme. Visual Builder right now is still the Alta theme, Redwood theme. Key points and features, everything's Jet. The Oracle Jet Cookbook is very, very helpful. Anything you can do in the Jet Cookbook, you can pull in as a component in Visual Builder. I had to get used to REST. I mentioned that. Any data that I bring down, I need a REST endpoint in the exact shape that I need it. There's no bring down all the data and filter for end users versus admins. You need 2 REST endpoints for that. Business objects, you can build them on the fly, you can import. If you're doing Cloud Fusion app extensions, use the endpoints, or its endpoints, build something in Apex, build your web version, REST enable all those endpoints, build a mobile app in Visual Builder. Really neat stuff. If you need to add triggers or functions or validations in your business objects, it's groovy. I'm like, geez, another language. Very simple. Of course, there's documentation for that and some real simple examples. If you can read these examples, it's either null or 1 through 5. I can handle that. I did show you on, no, I didn't show you, but even navigation is drag and drop. And that's a whole nother topic. Security, data security versus app security. And I'm trying to get, we're close to the end here. You got to think differently in Visual Builder applications. Even if your application is anonymous, there's still some configuration steps. So data security is what one can fetch, what gets pulled into my page, into my application. And that's enforced by the REST endpoint. You don't do that busy work in the application itself. So you got to build your business objects or your REST endpoints accordingly. App security, UI security, is that role-based. Users are roles built into your cloud interface. And this way you can restrict buttons and pages that the user sees. This, again, gets enforced by the client, by the page or component. And this is the one place where you actually do have to write code with this, an OJ bind test. And that's, again, a whole talk on itself. Styling, pretty much everything is the Alta look right now. If you need, like in Apex, we have the universal theme and we customize things. Not so easy to customize in Visual Builder yet, but that will probably be coming. With web apps and VB Studio, you will see a Redwood look. And there is the Jet theme builder. If you really, really have to go there, it is possible. And there's links out there to do that. Web app, mobile app, progressive web apps. I talked about that. Performance. Minify, it's JavaScript. Tune your REST calls. Number one thing you can do is tune your REST calls. That's the interface. That's your network stuff. If you get into using Fusion web apps and you're getting data from your SaaS connectors, you may need to refine how that works. You may need to cache data on a client and use a middle tier. Far outside the scope of this talk. How to upgrade, you don't, they do, they push it, but as of this 20.1 release, now you can control when the runtime references in your apps get upgraded. So if they upgrade the Jet version, and you don't want to upgrade the Jet version in your particular application, you don't have to. So that's really cool. You can switch from the Visual Builder default database to your own database, be it autonomous or cloud, and that's just really 2 or 3 steps, and that's done. Most people building extensive apps with Visual Builder Studio would do that. I mentioned the time investment. If you need some plan accordingly, cost. Now it used to be, this is really cool, this 2.3185 or 1.54 if you monthly flex. And there's a cost estimator that will actually plan out with the database and everything. This is really cool. 1.2365 for the Visual Builder Cloud service as of this latest release. That's less than half, folks. Pretty well, almost less than half. Saved me a lot of money. And just a few final closing things, transitioning from Apex, and I've mentioned this. Everything's REST, everything's visual, drag and drop. This continuous integration stuff, that's what sold me on Visual Builder. Visual Builder Studio. See, I still have to get I think of them together, but the Visual Builder Studio gives me that continuous life cycle. I can go back and look at all my code changes. Even if it's just me, that's helpful. I can track through my clients. You asked for this change on this day, it was completed. Transitioning, I need to plan my app and my data differently. I need to plan that security up front because it goes in my REST endpoints, which in turn may affect my interfaces. Same thing. And I have less declarative control over the UI, but I can drag and drop things however I want. Really cool. These comparisons, Apex to Visual Builder Studio, this meant a lot for me because I'm coming from that Apex background. I recognize that that may not resonate with everyone. Apex doesn't have that CI/CD, that lifecycle stuff built in. It does have a team development. Visual Builder Studio does. Big difference there. In terms of Apex gives you a responsive Visual Builder, Studio gives you that true mobile progressive web app with a click. And I can deploy my Visual Builder apps elsewhere in an Apache Tomcat, wherever that may live. Apex, I'm stuck in an Oracle environment. So which is better? If you're doing Fusion app extensions, this is the natural way to go. If your team is all SQL, PL SQL, you may want to go Apex. So there's many factors. What I've learned in my venture into Visual Builder Studio, this is an amazing product in terms of the lifecycle stuff that they built in for us developers. That's going to save tons of time. Big advance in terms of mobile and progressive web app. And the Apex Lightning Bolt is going to get me one of these days for saying that. But I've already talked to David Peak and Joel Coleman, and they know where I'm coming from here. So big pluses here. Some homework for you. There's a video series out there. Read the series. Ankur Jain did an excellent job here. Plan some time, do the examples, switch your brain a little bit and practice, and have fun whatever you do. There's tons of learning out there. And I went a few minutes over. Thank you guys for hanging in. I don't see any questions in the Q&A, but at any time, email me, DM me, TH Technology. If you weren't so far away, I'd say call me, but I'm happy to help out with this, share my experiences, this or any other topic that you see me talking on. And thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of this conference, and get involved in your user groups and stay safe out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karin. Thank you for everything. And this is a great session. And I don't see
Thank
any
you.
Q&A as of now. So we'll wind up the session now. Thank you so much. Thanks,
Great,
everyone.
thank you. Great day, everybody.